So basically, here's a list of the worst humans to ever walk the face of the earth. And don't worry, most of the homophobes I mentioned on this list, most of them are still alive. Welcome everyone to Powered and Protected by Rainbows. I am of course your host, Matt Haslam. And on today's show, we're covering 25 of the worst humans to ever walk the face of the earth in the eyes of LGBTQ rights. This list covers the worst homophobes we've seen in history, and while there are plenty more to cover, this list covers some of the most notable. So, if you have any others you want covered, please do leave them in the comments down below. And while you're down there, hit that like button and that rainbow subscribe button so you can see all of our weekly episodes of fun LGBTQ content to come in the future. Anyway, on to our list. Number 1, Adolf Hitler. Though everyone on this list is a horrible person, we simply couldn't start this list with anyone else. Hitler rose to power in Germany, and shortly after in 1933, gay organizations were banned in that country, gay books were burned, and gays in the Nazi Party itself were executed. Little is known as to how many LGBTQ people were killed in the Nazi concentration camps, but it's clear that gays were one of Hitler's many targeted groups. Number 2, Mao Zedong. You may have never heard of him, but he came to power in ancient China and thought of homosexuality as a, quote, social disgrace or a form of mental illness. Gays in this age faced the worst persecution of any Chinese generation under his rule. Number 3, Joseph Stalin. He was the leader of the Soviet Union, and as soon as getting into power, he recriminalized gay relationships. However, he made it clear he was only criminalizing sex between two men, with up to 5 years of hard labor in prison camps. And he in fact encouraged gay relationships between two women for some reason. Experts believe up to 1,000 men were imprisoned each year under his rule. Number 4, Robert Mugabe was the dictator of Zimbabwe who said that gays are, quote, worse than pigs or dogs. He launched a harsh campaign against gays, calling on his citizens to turn any gay into the police. And in September 1995, the Zimbabwe parliament banned homosexual acts. Number 5, Ronald Reagan. Yep, America's 40th president, who served from 1981 to 1989, was one of the worst homophobes in history. He not only once called gays, quote, sick unfortunates, he also stalled the repeal of anti-sodomy laws in the state of California when he served as governor, and didn't talk publicly about the AIDS crisis of the 1980s until 1987, after several thousands have already died. Number 6, Donald Trump. Known in this community as one of the worst homophobes to ever hold the seat in the Oval, Donald Trump has so far signed off on over 126 laws, regulations, and executive orders, which either go against LGBTQ people or completely strip away our given rights under the U.S. Declaration of Independence. He is currently serving and is up for re-election next year in 2020. Number 7, Bill Clinton. He served as president from 1993 to 2001, but in February 1994, he signed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, which banned gays, lesbians, and trans folks from serving openly in the military. His decisions as a homophobe came as a shock at the time to many, seeing he was the Democratic president. But his choices back then made the 2016 election between his wife Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump a true toss-up for many LGBTQ citizens, of which homophobe do we want as president more. Number 8, Michael May. He was the head of the New York Firefighters Union in 1972, and was a former Golden Gloves heavyweight champion, who brutally beat a gay protester and was accused of knocking the man to the ground and stomping on his crotch. May said in a response to the allegations that, quote, these people should never have been allowed to capture so much publicity by flaunting their ways in public. Number 9, John Briggs. He was a senator from California who authored the initiative to ban gays and lesbians from teaching in public schools. He supported LGBTQ rights being grounds for firing from any business or organization, feared homosexuality would spread out from San Francisco, which he also called the country's, quote, moral garbage dump of homosexuality. Number 10, Karl Rove. He served as senior advisor and deputy chief of staff for President George W. Bush. He is credited with strong-arming his right-wing base to support 11 anti-gay ballot measures and endorse the constitutional amendment which would ban same-sex marriage, and pushed for his boss, President Bush, to sign it. Number 11, Phyllis Schlafly. You may not know her face, but she is credited with the starting of Stop ERA group, which successfully blocked equal rights amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Though she has a gay son of her own, she campaigned against the Equal Rights Amendment by stating to press that, quote, perverts will be given the same legal rights as husbands and wives. She has since endorsed Trump in the 2016 campaign and endorsed many of his anti-gay policies since then. 12. Anita Bryant. She was a national icon singer who became the Florida orange juice pitchwoman, but she campaigned to repeal an anti-decriminalization ordinance in Miami-Dade County in 1977, doing it all under the name Save Our Children, which is the anti-gay group she founded. Number 13, David Bahati. He was a member of the Ugandan parliament and authored the country's, quote, Kill the Gays bill. He claimed it was to protect the children of his country. It was later renamed, quote, Jail the Gays bill, before it was passed and enacted throughout the country. After the bill was passed, nations worldwide threatened to revoke the $115 million in foreign aid they once were offering to Uganda to help them with their national problems. But David Bahati said in a statement to press that his anti-homosexuality act would be worth the cost. Number 14, Rick Santorum. He served as a U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania from 1995 to 2007. But in that time, he compared same-sex marriage to be as tragic as September 11, 2001, in which thousands died in the terrorist attacks in New York, Washington, and Pennsylvania. He claimed same-sex marriage would tank the U.S. economy, and supported the rebirth of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Needless to say, Pennsylvania is not proud of him. Number 15, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. He served as the 6th president of Iran from 2005 to 2013, and claimed there were no gay people living in Iran at all. But much of the reason the gays living in Iran at the time were scared to come out was soon after rising to power, Mahmoud executed a few gay people by public hanging for no other reason than they were gay. Number 16, James Dobson. Known as the anti-gay media mogul, James is a pastor who founded both Focus on the Family in 1977 and Love Won Out in 1998, both of which massively contribute to the overcrowding of conversion camps in the United States. Dobson claims that he can, quote, cure homosexuality. He's written books, runs a newsletter, and a radio show which still airs on thousands of stations. Number 17, Pope Benedict XVI. He was born by the name of Joseph Ratzinger, who rose in the Roman Catholic Church to become cardinal and was later elected pope. While he was a cardinal, he wrote what is now known as the, quote, Rat Letter, which was an unprecedented damning of homosexuality, and Ratzinger was quoted in that letter stating homosexuals as, quote, intrinsically evil. Number 18, Brian Fisher. He was the official mouthpiece for the American Family Association, which was an anti-gay group horrible enough on their own. But Fisher is quoted as stating that homosexuality should be criminalized, that gays will attack you like Nazis, and that Caitlyn Jenner's mind is under the control of Satan. Number 19, Fred Phelps. He was the leader of the Westboro Baptist Church until he passed away in 2014. Fred was the one calling on the church members to join him in protesting funerals of gay people and Iraq war soldiers who died in battle. He showed up to gay funerals, including the funeral of Matthew Shepard, who was beaten to death just for being gay. But Fred Phelps showed up protesting the funeral with signs reading, quote, "God hates fags." Number 20, Pat Robertson. Pat was the founder of the Christian Broadcasting Network, though he really became more of a weatherman over the years, blaming gays for the earthquake in Southern California, Hurricane Andrew, cold weather in the East and Midwest, and blamed gays for the famine in East Africa. He was quoted in 1998 on television saying that Orlando Pride event goers were to blame for a hurricane, stating, quote, "I would warn Orlando that you're right in the way of some serious hurricanes, and I don't think I'd be waving those flags in God's face if I were you." Number 21, the Boy Scouts of America. As the only group to make our list, you have to know they did some pretty bad things against our community as an organization. They banned gays from entering the Scouts as either scouts or leaders, and even kicked out a leader for being a lesbian. Later, after much protest and threats of scouts quitting the Scout organization because of the BSA's values, the BSA finally allowed scouts to serve openly and Scout leaders to be out, though they still to this day leave it up to the leaders of some religious-based troops on whether or not someone is fit to serve or be a member of Scouts if they are gay or trans. Number 22, Laura Sessinger. She was a PhD doctor in sociology who in 1998 said that homosexuality is a, quote, biological error, and is quoted a year later as stating, quote, "A huge portion of the male homosexual populace is predatory on young boys." After that false claim, she was offered a TV talk show deal with Paramount Network, which, due to much public protest, was later aired in 2000 and only canceled once advertisers stopped wanting to promote their brands on her show. 23. Vladimir Putin. As president of Russia since 2012, Putin has enacted a 100-year ban on pride parades in Moscow, a ban on any foreigner adopting a Russian child if they come from a country supportive of gay marriage, and a ban on LGBT-positive representations being put into the media. He fought protesters of these laws with vicious beatings, and later said that Russia has a right to reject, quote, so-called tolerance, being genderless and fruitless. Number 24, Kim Davis. After marriage equality was passed nationally in 2015, Kim Davis, a top clerk in Rowan County, Kentucky, wouldn't let anyone, gay or straight, get marriage licenses until gay marriage rights were revoked. She was thrown in jail for contempt, and her release was aired nationally when then presidential candidate Mike Huckabee held her arm in the air in protest and solidarity. Number 25, Omar Mateen. Now, while we will not be showing his face because of him being a mass shooter and mass murderer, he was the one who shot up the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida on June 12, 2016. He murdered 49 and wounded 53 others. Worse yet, his actions as committing one of the worst mass shootings in the United States were met with the Westboro Baptist Church, among a handful of other pastors, coming out to declare their support for Omar and his actions, and supported others doing the same, as long as it was LGBTQ people who died. So for that matter, our 26th pick for worst homophobes would have to be the Westboro Baptist Church as a whole. And don't worry, most of the homophobes I mentioned on this list, most of them are still alive. But anyway, that's our episode for today. If you have any thoughts on today's topic, have any questions, or maybe you know any major homophobes that you think we missed on this list, please do leave those in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our network for plenty more great gay content to come in the future, and share this video with others. I'm Matt Haslam, this has been PBR, and have a gay day, everyone. Bye for now.